Okay, what's up guys? Welcome back to Go with Clinton. So in this video, I'm going to give you a comprehensive guide on backend web development. You understand? So what is backend web development? So backend web development refers to that part of an application that you don't see. It is the server side of an application. You understand? So here's the roadmap. Here's the guide I have for you. So first of all, you need to know HTML and CSS. It's really important. So I see most backend developers out there, they know Python, they know Ruby, but they don't know HTML, they don't know CSS. And I just wonder that what are you doing? As a developer that work on the web, you must know HTML and CSS. This is important because HTML and CSS is what makes the web work today. So without those two components, we will not have we will not be talking about web development. You understand? Because HTML and CSS is actually the grassroots. It is the foundation. So you need to just know the basics. I didn't say you become an expert. Just the basics of HTML and CSS is fine. You understand? So then you can go down to your backend development and become an expert there. But you need to know the basics of HTML and CSS. HTML is responsible for the structure of your website. It makes the structure, it's a skeleton of your website. Why CSS helps to just style. It makes that skeleton beautiful, you understand? So that's what it does. And secondly, you need to know a little about JavaScript. JavaScript controls the web. You understand? It controls the web. So as a backend web developer, you need to have a little knowledge of JavaScript, a little knowledge, not just basics, because you are going to need this thing on your journey. You're going to need HTML, you're going to need CSS, you're going to need JavaScript. You need these three components as a backend web developer, because currently I can call myself full stack. Understand? Because I know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Python, Django. Understand? So at first I started with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript at first. So then I moved into Django after I've knew these three components. You understand? So what I advise is, before you learn Python, before you learn Ruby, before you learn Laravel, have basic knowledge on the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So JavaScript is a great is a massive programming language. You can use it to build web application, you can use it to build mobile application, you can use it to build desktop apps, you can use it to build games. But what I want you to just know about just know the basic parts, the parts of adding interactivity to a website. Just know that part, and you're good. You understand? So, secondly, is for you to pick a backend language. So, the second option, the second item on my roadmap is for you to pick a backend language. So we have several of them. We have Java, we have Ruby, we have C Sharp, PHP, Python, JavaScript. We have a lot of them here. So just pick one and be good at it. Pick one, you understand? Just pick a programming language on the back end and just try and gain expertise in that language. So the third item on my list is picking a backend framework. You understand? So we have numerous backend frameworks for numerous programming languages. You understand? So for C Sharp, the framework for C Sharp is ASP.NET. So for Python, we have Django and Flask. For PHP, the framework for PHP, we have Laravel. For JavaScript, we have Node, and then the framework is Express.js. You understand? So just pick one. Let's assume you're working in Python. You can go for Django or you can go for Flask. Let's assume you're working with JavaScript. You can go for Express.js, which is under Node. Yes, let's assume you're working with Ruby. You can go for Ruby on Rails. You understand? So just pick a programming language. So after that, pick a framework under the language. It's going to make your journey easier. You get? So the fourth item I have for you right here is databases. You understand? Databases. So as a web developer or as a backend web developer, you need to know about databases. You understand? You need to just know about them. So right now we have two popular databases. We have the SQL and the NoSQL. So The SQL deals with tables, while you know SQL does not use tables. So that's their major differences. Understand? So under SQL, we have MySQL, we have Postgres, we have SQLite, we have Oracle, and for the no SQL, we have MongoDB, we have Firebase. Is it Firebase or Firestore? So we have those ones there. So just know about these things, you get. So you working with a backend language or a backend framework is going to give you some knowledge on databases in a sense. So you knowing how to use Ruby or how to use Django, you're going to have basic knowledge on databases, because those frameworks covers database, they cover database relationships, so you're going to have some basic understanding of how databases works. Understand? So for the fifth option I have here, I want to talk about RESTful APIs. So as I was saying, you need to know about RESTful APIs. Understand? So RESTful APIs enables you to connect two different applications together. Let's assume you have the backend and you also have the front. You have the backend application and also the front end application. So RESTful APIs enables you to connect these two applications together. You understand? So let's assume you're working on a React app and on a let's assume you're working on a React application and also on a Django backend. Understand? So you want to have your Django, once you have the items in your database to come up on that React app. So you need to connect these two different platforms, the Django and React. You need to connect them using an API. You understand? So and the best option is to use a RESTful API. So a RESTful API must always have these four requests: the get, the post, the put, and the delete methods. You understand? So you get, so that's it. So you need to know how to build RESTful APIs. So as when you're learning Python or you're learning Django, you need to know how to build a RESTful API with whatever framework you are learning. It's really, really important. You understand? So okay, the next option I have here is about cloud services. So as a backend web developer, you need to know about popular cloud services like AWS, Heroku, Linode, Jupyter Ocean. You need to know about them because most times you need to deploy your projects. You need to have them up on the internet. You need to deploy them and follow best practices. So you need to know about cloud services. It's really, really important. So the next option is okay. So the next item on the list is Docker. So as a backend web developer, you need to know how to use Docker. So I have to say this right here. So all this I'm saying, you can't learn them at once. Instead, it's going to be a step-by-step process. Instead, as you learn, as you start learning the backend language, to learning the framework, to learn about databases, it's going to be a step-by-step process. It's not going to be something you do at once. Understand? As you grow, as you advance, you just keep spreading your hands. Understand? So that's how you become an expert. So it's not something you do in one day, and it's not a must to know all these things before you can get a job. No, it's not a must. If you just with you just learn a backend language, you can be lucky enough to land a job with a backend language and a backend framework. Understand? Can be lucky enough, but for you to stand out, amongst the crowd, you need to know this extra. You need to know this extra features I am listing. Something like Docker. Docker is quite advanced, but you need to just know about it. It's going to give you an high chance of getting employed. You understand? So Docker is simply Docker is simply a container. It works like it's a container like structure that helps to package code. You understand? And it makes it run on any system you get. So here's an example. Here's one of the major advantages of Docker. So let's assume I wrote my code now on a Windows computer, and I give the source code, and so then I dockerize this application. So if I dockerize the application, it's in a container, and I give it to my friend who uses a Mac PC. So my friend is going to be able to run that code on his PC without any form of issue, without any form of error. That's because that application has been Dockerized. Understand? It's going to make sure the app is able to run on any environment it finds itself. That's the major importance of Docker. It's really a great skill to have. It's not really complicated. Just a few hours, you'll be able to work with it. You understand? So that's it there. Okay, so the next option we have on the list is Redis. So what is Redis? So Redis simply enables caching on the web application. So you're wondering what is caching? So caching is a software component that stores data with the main purpose of making future need of that data easier. You understand? It makes future request of that data easier. That's what caching simply means. You understand? It makes you access data easier and faster. You get. So that's what Redis does. Really important. It's important as a backend web developer. There's going to be an added advantage to your skill to know how to use Redis on your web application, to know how to implement, how to include it, because caching is a vital aspect of web development. Super important. So we also have what we call Kubernetes. It's just like Docker. It is container like Docker. Kubernetes enables deploy. It makes deployment easy. You understand? No matter the environment the web application was created, simply enables a seamless deployment process. So that's it. So first of all, I talked about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These three they are really important. So because these three components makes up the web. You understand? It makes up the web. They are the foundation of the web. So secondly, I spoke on backend language. You need to pick a backend language. Is it Python? Is it Ruby? Is it PHP? Is it Java? So just pick one and gain mastery in that language, in the one you picked. So the third one is a backend framework. We have several of them. We have Django for Python. We have Ruby on Rails for Ruby. We have Laravel for PHP. We have Node. We have JavaScript Node with Express. You just have a lot of them in a sense. So just pick one. If you pick Python, go for Django or Flask. If you picked PHP, we have Laravel or Symfony. So those are them. So secondly, I spoke about databases. We have the NoSQL and the SQL. We also talked about what again? We spoke on. So I also spoke about building RESTful APIs. It's really important. You need to know how to build a RESTful API. So we talked about what again? I think we talked about Docker. We talked about databases. We spoke on Redis. We spoke on Kubernetes. So these are really important. So you understand they are really important for you to know and master as a backend web developer. So like I said earlier, you don't need to learn all these things at once. It's going to be a gradual process as you keep expanding, as you keep getting experience. You need to like spread your horizons. You get. So it's not going to be what you do at what you learn at once. It's going to be a gradual process. So you could just try and enjoy the process. Don't put pressure on yourself. Just learn at your pace. Learn at your pace. It might take you 6 months. It might take you 1 year. It might take you 2 years or 5 years. Just learn at your pace. Well, you are going to be successful with code. You understand? So that's it there. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do it to smash the subscribe button. So my next video is going to be a roadmap on the Django, right, on the Django web framework. So I chose Django because I write Django. So that's going to be the next video. So do it to stay blessed. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Have a blessed day, and bye bye.